Welcome, everybody, to the Evolution Podcast, hosted by Evergreen Foundations here on Skool. I'm Brandon Kramer from the Better Brain Project. My partner, Dinka Salvador from Trinity Code, is not here today, so I'm going to run the chaos myself with my amazing friend, C. Joy, Christina Joy from the Chaos to Clarity Lab here on Skool. How's it going, Christina?
It's going. How are you? I'm so excited to be here.
I know. I knew like the first when I met you in the schoolyard, shout out Jack Robinson. When I met you in the schoolyard, I was like, oh, we got to get this girl on the podcast. Like the first time we were on a live call, I think we laughed for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we were
Funnily-
instantly buddies. Totally
Oh,
buddies.
yeah.
I was
Like this
oh.
morning was hilarious. We were in the middle of a conversation. I'm like doing something. I'm like posting a thread. I'm talking to two people on a random hangout. And I look up and I'm like, Christina's here.
Yay.
So funny. So around here in the Evolution Podcast, I always ask the same question to get us kicked off. And then we just kind of like randomly riff and talk. And the question I got is, who is Christina Joy?
A soul on a journey.
I love it.
Yeah, that's it. And this lifetime, I guess I'll go into a little bit of detail. In this lifetime, at this particular moment, I am a bus dweller. So I live full time in a city bus that I converted myself. I'm still converting. As you can see, it's framed out, insulated, but it's cozy enough. So that's part of who I am. And I have two cats. So I'm a cat mom, and I've always been a cat mom, actually. And I am a business operations consultant. That's what I do for my profession. And it's taken a long, windy road to get to this, which is why I think I'm good at it, because I've done a lot of crazy things in my life. Yeah, I think that is the beginning of summing it up. I'm sure we'll find out more.
So first immediate question, how do you become a bus dweller? Like, where does that idea, how do you go from like not a bus dweller to a bus dweller? That's what I want to know.
This is a good one. Okay. It really dates back to 2015 is kind of when the idea planted, but I won't start with that story. I'm sure that'll pop up later. Maybe. But what ended up happening was I was a COO of a company in Maine, and I got it to a point. I got the operations running smoothly enough that I was like, ooh, I can actually do most of this remotely. And wouldn't it be cool to just like have a little bit of a nomadic life? Like I want to be able to vacation a little bit, maybe get a camper or something. And then I was like, oh yeah, but the cats. So then I started trying to train my cats to like walk on a leash. And what I realized is that Lucky, who's definitely going to show up at some point, she's round and a harness doesn't fit on her body. Doesn't matter how many I tried, right? And so I was like, girl, we're going to have to do something different so that you can come along on my journey. And somehow it turned into a bus.
Wow. Like, this is fascinating to me because like we want to live like off the grid, right? Like we kind of want to like get some land and have a little homestead. We're both into gardening, like grow some clean food, that kind of thing. So I could totally relate to wanting to kind of be away from it all after obviously being a CEO, and I'm sure that's a really busy lifestyle. And now this is quieter.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was there a shift, or was there like a learning curve, or did you have to get used to that, or was it just natural? Like, this is kind of awesome. Now I'm a bus dweller.
Well, about that. So I was a COO. So I was the kind of like the assistant to the CEO, right? Like, cause that's kind of what COOs do. Like, so I help them figure out the operations while they're out being a squirrel, essentially, and being the visionary and being that. So I was that for him. And honestly, like I wasn't even trying to have that job. Like that's not the job I wanted at the time, but I was getting my master's degree in sustainable development. And I graduated, I was like 40 when I graduated. So I graduated and got, and it was right when COVID started. It was 2020, May of 2020. And my whole idea was I'm going to live in Tanzania. That's a whole other part of my life, but I'm going to go live in Tanzania full time and do the projects that inspired me to go get that degree, right? And so that's what I thought I was going to do. And then it turns out COVID, and I certainly wasn't going to go to Tanzania. I wasn't going anywhere out of the country at that point. So that's how I fell into the COO position. I already knew a lot about business. I was a paralegal for a long time. So I had that background. But to be honest with you, once I hit my 30s, I was kind of on this like, I'm gonna do what I'm feeling in my guts. And I started doing exactly that. Oh my gosh, I see there's a cat at the bottom of the screen. Hi, kitty. Aw, see, I'm a total squirrel. You see what
Hey,
happened?
well, the 3 of them. There's 3 of them in this house too, so it's and a corgi. So it's
Well,
possible, you never know.
you see her butt. Usually it's just her butt around. Sorry, guys. Um, so yeah, I mean the reality is it's yeah, it was a big change. Yeah, it's a big difference. But to be honest with you, like I've made some pretty drastic changes in my life a few times already. When I realized that like the regular life, that everybody wants you to live, that wasn't really for me. And I tried it. It just wasn't for me. So
Yeah, that chewed me up and spit me out too.
yeah.
That's why I'm doing stuff like this whole ADHD entrepreneur on Skool, right? Like,
Mhm.
I thrive in this because I didn't thrive in the normal structure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But having that, I never really came from business, right? And I'm like into this. Now I'm into new things, and I think your community, Chaos to Clarity, is like built for people like me. Like coming in and like I have all these ideas, I have all these things, I have a million things I'm working on, million plans and collaborations. And it's like, how do I like turn that all into something? How did school come about in your community?
Well, I'm a business consultant. I do business operations and I launched a website. It was like October of last year, maybe September, whatever, but I launched a website and I had clients coming from that. And I already had like word of mouth clients before I even got the website out there. And so that's what I had been doing for a while. And it was just kind of referral based and on accident, honestly. And then what I started to realize is that I wanted there to be a space where I could send my clients to at first I thought it was like courses or something. Like I was going to create courses and they could go there and I can plug them into like the program that I created for people like them or people like this. What I didn't realize is that I was kind of naming different styles of entrepreneurship and different problems that a lot of entrepreneurs run into. And I wasn't all that wasn't clicking yet. I see it now. But I ended up checking out Skool and other platforms, but I landed here because just the community aspect of it felt right to me, And I really wanted something that was like, obviously I live in a bus. The point of this is to travel everywhere. So I don't want to stay in one place and work. I want to have a different view outside of my window every day if I feel like it.
So,
Um, and so I was like, this community thing is really cool. And I love the way it felt. And I was like, I love being supported by other people who are learning, who are also growing, who are also excited for this space and like being better than what they already are, being the best versions of themselves. And so I just became more and more inspired the longer I was around. And that's why I knew Skool was the place for me.
nice.
Yeah.
Uh, one, did it come pretty easily to like create your community and like do or what was that like?
Well, I would say it didn't necessarily come easily. I struggled a lot because I had this polished idea in my head. In my head it was like I'm going to be in this like in my business suit and I'm going to be like teaching a thing and recording it and it's going to be edited and beautiful and perfect and that was what was in my head and I, I was like what the hell like I'm never that doesn't fit me. Like I said, I live in a bus that's half done. There's tools laying around. There's like, I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? So like I'm not gonna put on makeup to show up and record stuff every day. And I'm gonna have to show up raw, unedited. Sometimes I'm gonna cuss a lot, I'm gonna drop a lot of F bombs. Other times I won't, but like I just need a space that I can just be exactly who I am in my chaotic kind of bus. That anyway, yeah. I don't even remember the beginning of that question. So here we are with ADHD, right?
Yeah, exactly. As soon as you said that, I'm like, I don't know if I remember the beginning of that question.
It's good.
This might be our viral episode. You never know. We got to keep going. S- um, so in your community, like now, do you who do you kind of work with? What kind of stuff do you do? What kind of groups you got going on? Like, what's happening in chaos to clarity lab?
So it's kind of developed over time. I didn't realize that what I'd be doing right now is what I would be doing regularly. But it really developed based on like what members who were starting to come into the space wanted or needed or something that I saw that I'm like, you did this. This would be
Yeah,
really awesome. And so one of the things that I offer is a daily clarity reset. And that right now is I recommend those to everybody. It's 20 to 30 minutes. It's Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and for Eastern time, of course, because everybody lives in Eastern, right?
yeah,
Kidding. So it's basically 20 to 30 minutes of like a quick grounding session, like in the beginning, like let's all breathe together. Let's just get right for a second. And then quickly brain dump whatever's in your head in a journal. And I guide them through these prompts. So quickly brain dump whatever's in your head, get it out of the way. And then I'll start with a prompt. And I'm like, answer this question and set a timer. And then they just write in their journal. We don't talk during it. We don't have a lot of banter. I set the timer, they do the thing. And then a few minutes later, I ask the next question. A few minutes later, I ask the next one. And they are designed to give you enough space that, like, there's an uncomfortable silence if you stop writing. So it makes you keep thinking,
yeah.
but not so much time that you just end up on this like never ending journey with a pen. And it's pointed. And so by the end of it, you show up with maybe some idea of what that theme is going to be that day, but you leave with like, this is what you do next. This is your next step today. This is how you overcome that thing. This is how you go do you today or this week or whatever. That's one of the things I do every day. And then, I mean, it's really just about showing up in the space, in the discussions, and letting people talk about what's going on in their business and just show up real and do the thing. I do a coffee call. I have hot seat sessions I just started. Um, yeah, I'm probably missing some things, but
I think
that's
the journal prompt, the way you run that group is actually super powerful. And I've been a part. The reason I came to Skool a couple of years ago, when I first like became a coach in the wellness and lifestyle space, and I took a program with Rob Dial, the mindset mentor, podcaster, and he has a community on couple. There's a community on Skool called Business Breakthrough, and that's what I thought Skool was when I first came here. But his groups were exactly to the T like that. And usually 50, 60 people sometimes. And he'd have a few people share. And then, but they were exactly like that at the beginning. They're hour-and-a-half groups. And the first like half hour was that style. And you do, it's like a little, you're like, oh, I gotta keep writing, I gotta keep thinking. It gets to that uncomfortable thing you mentioned. And they are super powerful. I've actually been talking about this for running groups like this with
yeah.
Mark and a couple other people. Because it's a super powerful structure to a group. Because no matter if everyone gets to share or not, they're not on the spot. They actually think like for themselves or brain dumping from themselves. And then they get to be around a group for support and stuff. So yeah, I love that you do
Mhm.
that because that's actually super powerful. When do you do that? Because I might want to come.
Yeah, so that's every day at 1 o'clock. I also do one in the schoolyard. That's my schoolyard thing.
That's on Monday, right? Yeah.
That are Tuesdays, and we
Just
just switched it from Tuesday at 6 back to Tuesday at 1. And instead of doing the one in my community, I'm just gonna do that one because I don't know, like, I don't know. Like, it
well,
just
it's
makes
good.
sense to just have them all at the same time.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense around most of the time. You can share the links and visit,
Mhm.
like tell your community because visibility wise, like cross pollination, being in other communities is great for you too, right? Um,
Totally. So if that's something you ever wanna bring to this space or a space that another space, there's that.
I'm gonna shout
Awesome.
it out for sure. You're gonna see me coming because I
Good.
like those style of groups, and it's something that can keep us, grounded, like, with ourselves as busy, entrepreneurs. We had an interesting conversation today, briefly, in, the schoolyard as we keep shouting it out, about ADHD and how a lot of people call themselves and say, like, "Hey, I have ADHD," and say that as entrepreneurs. And someone asked, like, "Why do so many people do that?" And my answer was, well, for one, you see a lot of us doing that because school is like a magnet. It's like honey for entrepreneurs who have ADHD because there's so much going on, so much connections, the leaderboards, the emojis, the live groups. Like it's a perfect world for people with ADHD, if you ask me. And what do you think? What do you see in ADHD preneurs? Do you think? What did that bring up for you? That question.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm with you on school. Like, I think that there are just so many squirrels and shiny objects and like shiny squirrels. I don't know, they're everywhere on this platform. Dopamine hits are real. Like everybody's supportive. That's love. We need that. Like it works out. And I didn't even really realize I had ADHD until within the last year, and I'm 44. And so I've gone my whole life without being able to put my finger on what the hell was going on, right? And I think that there are a lot of people in this space who are just figuring it out, that even if they don't have the diagnosis, they're realizing, "Oh my god, I have these tendencies." And when I look back now that I'm researching constantly and I'm truly like digging in and understanding what that meant for me my whole life and what that means now, um, I see that in entrepreneurs in general because they don't fit necessarily into the sit at the 9 to 5 job in your cubicle and do this one job all day long. And this is like, our energy doesn't work like that. Like, and we kept being told that we were either not motivated or that we couldn't focus. And you're right. I can't sometimes. And so now I can look around and notice that like a lot of business owners who I've worked with have those tendencies, and I recognize those patterns now. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, before we started that I was the same exact way. Like a year and a half ago, I just turned 40 in November, and a year and a half ago, my co-founder, David Layton of this community, was on the phone with me, and I was like doing laundry, and then I picked up shoes, and I took the dog out, and then I did this, and I'm telling him about 50 projects, and he's like, "You do know you have ADHD, right?" And I was like, "I don't think so. I've had like head injuries, and I don't know. I don't think so." And he's like, "Dude, think about it for a while." And then I started to, and I'm like, "Oh, I think I do." And honestly, with our society and dopamine hits and food systems and everything else, it's kind of designed a lot of us have tendencies, right? Diagnosed or not. We're seeing more and more adults that are getting ADHD because of everything that happens in our world and the things that we consume. But
Yeah.
definitely, this last year and a half has been more of like acceptance and embracement and like, hey, I can do something with this. I do have to like be super aware and like watch certain things because squirrel tendencies are huge,
Yeah.
especially in the online business world. Like, I gotta make sure I don't forget cooking stuff on the stove for an hour or something. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, same, except that what mine would be like right there because that, small face. So that works out.
um, what did what do you love about this platform that keeps you here?
I think it's just the community. I had like a very transformative year, we'll say, last year. Challenging, especially toward the end of it. And I hear that story from a lot of people. I think last year was a doozy for a whole lot of people. But what one of the things that I did was I quit drinking in July, and that I wasn't necessarily planning to, but I did. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to keep on quitting. Like this is great." Um and so there's that, and that changed my friend circle a lot. That's something that when you aren't popping into the brewery once or twice a week or showing up at, wherever for your margaritas on Tuesday. God, I do kind of miss margaritas though. Um, but
Sometimes
when
that's the one I miss too. We
uh,
love Mexican food, and we go out for chips and salsa, and they'll be like, "Margarita, amigo," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll have coffee with cinnamon on top." He's like, "Yeah,
they
yeah."
see those big giant ones that are like this big around, and I'm like, "Ah, I just wanna put a straw in it." But the reality is that, like, it changes your friend circle, it changes how you operate in the world and where you go, and so around, like, a within a couple of months of that, I got on a live podcast that I was on for it was daily for, like, 3 months I was there. Um, and so in that way, I still had, like, socialization, I still had that going on. It was totally draining me, because it was just too much on every single day, you know? But, what I realized when I left that, it just wasn't serving me anymore, and so when I left that, I it's like, the community, I just didn't have that same sense of community anymore because 'cause I'm not gonna go to a bar, and I'm not my drinking friends are doing drinking friend things, and I don't it doesn't I don't wanna be around it. Like, I miss them, but it's just not for me anymore. I think it's just the community, it's the support, it's everybody on here learning. It's that. That's what keeps me here, for sure.
I I could totally relate to that. I've never went a whole year since I was a teenager with, like, out any alcohol, and it was really important to me that this is gonna be that year, and, I was a few months before, but I was like, 2026, not any, and I've really been sticking to that, and it's been awesome. My girlfriend doesn't really drink, and it's been really, awesome, but I get it. I live in Wisconsin. We're a very drunk state. We have
You
bars
are.
everywhere.
I'm in
It
Florida. I mean, Florida, St. Augustine, Florida. This is a very drunk town.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so it's totally relatable, and it's weird not to drink here. Like,
yeah,
people take coolers to their kids' baseball games, and, like, it's acceptable everywhere, and
yeah,
when you don't, it's like, you get a million questions, and it's like, "You don't drink?" "Yeah, I don't ingest poison." Like, why do I have to explain that? If somebody was
yeah.
like, "Hey, you want a water?" and you were like, "Nah, I don't drink water," nobody would say anything. But if
Want a
you're like,
beer?
and you're like, "No." They're like, "You so many questions. Oh, you don't drink? Why don't you drink? Did you kill somebody? Are you on probation?" And it's like, why do you have all these reasons? Why can't they just, like, not ingest poison? Like, that could be a good one. But,
Yeah,
yeah, so I totally get the change. I feel like I knew good people, right? But they were, like, stuck in certain ways. And when I started to really grow is when my friend circle started to change. And
yeah,
now people I look at as like family, like school brothers and sisters and great friends and connections and colleagues are all online. And like, I want to bring that into the real world, but like, it's here, right? Like, it's not, I'm just don't vibe with the way it used to be. If I'm going to hang out here, people are doing the same shit that I used to do, right? Like,
mhm,
they're not doing new stuff. They're not pushing me. They're not jumping on a call with me with pyramids in Egypt behind them, or like
mhm,
coming out of a meditation yurt for 3 hours, or like my friends are doing cool stuff these days, and I'm
yeah.
really leaning on that. That's what school for me really brings.
I love it. I love it, and it fits a nomadic lifestyle, which is I mean, I'm pretty close to just being on the road full time. Right now, I'm parked at a sheep farm, and it's beautiful. I love it here. And I've been here for a little bit. I'll be here for a few more months, but that's it. Like, I wanna be able to just go wherever and still feel a sense of community, wherever I'm at,
Yeah.
and school perfect for that, just
Yeah.
perfect.
And I mean, dude, you should be like the traveling school in real life mayor with the buses.
That's
You
exactly
could
what I
just go
want,
king school in real life events, see joy. Like, why are we not
dude.
doing this already?
I'm so glad you said it out loud because that's honestly low key my dream. So you just said it out loud, and that's what I needed that because we already have a mayor of St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Talking, and I'm
Yep.
like, well,
I
now we're gonna
applied.
need
I applied.
yeah,
I'm gonna throw my first event for Fox Valley, Wisconsin. And we're gonna do something here soon in the next like 2 to 3 weeks to just like show my chops and show that I want to do this. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the mayor program. We have a lot of mayors here in foundations. I mean, Roe, a huge member of
oh,
our premium program, is uh basically in charge of the IRL program for Goose now. Like, she's helping run the mayors and herd the cats. And we have Mark Eldridge from Orlando and
yeah,
Brendan
he's
Thompson
great.
and, so many. So it's
Yeah.
really cool, and you could be like the traveling mayor. I don't know. I see this. I'm
The
gonna show.
nomad mare. That's what I want it. Like, I've thought about that. I might have said it out loud maybe a few times.
Well, now you're gonna have me saying it out loud to like everybody. So
Yeah, you just did.
true.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I love it because you really have that opportunity to bring your connections to real life, right? Like you're traveling, you're not in one place. It's not like you have to buy a plane ticket to go visit somebody. You can just post, "Hey guys, here to where I am. Is anyone in this area?" And people
Yeah,
can be like, "Wow, that's freaking awesome." Or so do you
totally.
have like a direction in the next few months or years?
I am here until at least August. I had there are multiple reasons, but I'm here until at least August, and then like I really want to make it up to New England area for the leaves changing. So I might just go north, like head to Maine because I did live in Maine for a little while and love Maine. And so I'm thinking about that and then kind of heading either more south again or maybe go west or it doesn't I don't know at that point. Like
Well, you ever
I'll
come
figure
through Wisconsin, you got a buddy. I'll
Oh, I'm
say
coming.
hey.
Oh, I'll be there, don't you worry. I have other friends in Wisconsin too, so I have
Nice.
and I've never been, so I totally have to. And there's cheese curds, dude. Like, you
Yes,
guys
I
have
mean
cheese.
that is the one. It is the one big reason to come here is the cheese curds.
It's totally cheese.
So what's the vision for, the community and growing kind of how you're working with people and all that? Is there a future in mind, or you just kinda going with the flow?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I have been working on the concept for my signature kind of program or
Yeah,
course maybe. And I'm sure it'll continue to be tweaked over time. But what I'd really like to do, and originally I wanted to create that toolbox so that business owners could come in and drop in. And I'm like, okay, I'm working one on one with somebody. And I'm like, okay, your homework this week is to do this, this, and this. You can find it in the toolbox. Go get it. And then they can dip in and get what they need, right? Well, so I want to create that toolbox. And I'm working on it. And then another layer of this is I'm a big fan of like assessments and tests, right? Like not tests like you get graded, but like the Myers-Briggs, like
yeah,
knowing what you are and knowing more about like your personality or your tendencies or your patterns. Know the more you know about yourself, the more you're able to like work out the systems that work for you and have clarity around decision making in your business and just operating it in general, right? And so I want to have a classroom that's just kind of full of a bunch of different ones. I have about 25 different types of tests that I'm interested in putting in there. And they all kind of accumulate and after you do enough of them you have a good sense about all of it and then the ultimate goal is inspired by I call it the 42. And it's really the first time I'm talking about it on kind of a public space, but the
nice. We get an
42
exclusive on the podcast. I like that. Look at that.
we're still working on it, so this might not be the end result, but the idea around it is it's a play off of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is hilarious. It's like a phenomenal book, funny movie even, but it's a play off of that. And the 42, the number 42 is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, right? That's what it is in the movie or
Yeah,
the book. And so that's it's called the 42 because of that. It's really like the thing you go back to. It's kind of your North Star. It's not just your vision. It's not just who you are. It's not really just any of those things. It's bigger than all of that. And every decision you make in your business can be tested against it. And that is the concept that I've been working on for the past few months. And hopefully I get to roll it out in the next couple of months.
nice. I like
Yeah.
that. That really it super aligns too, because clarity and like awareness about ourselves can go so far.
Awareness.
Like that's really what we like try to be at the core of our what we do here in Evergreen Foundations is with the 5 pillars and like looking at your life from everything from your body to your mind to how you go about things and your purpose and connecting with others and never stopping to learn and like always finding out like what works for me, what doesn't, not being afraid to try new things. I went through like a yes man era that I'm kind of still in, where like if my brain tells me like, oh no, don't do that, you might be judged, or don't I instantly I'm like, shit, now I gotta do that. Like I do whatever I have to like push my comfort zone. I have to like do what I might be scared of doing. And that's like a challenge that I've had for myself in the last couple of years. And what that's really done is given me clarity on like what I truly like, what truly fires me up, what truly kind of holds me back, and what like actions I do daily that kind of might not serve me, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes we can go through life not even knowing those things, not seeing them because we're so
So
stuck
many
in the
people
yes,
really,
yes,
so many people aren't even really actually
that
aware. It's
voice.
not even that they aren't aware of who they are, it's then you add the layer to it. When you don't know who you are, how are you showing up authentically in your life? How are you showing up true to yourself if you're not even really sure about who you are? If
Yeah.
you aren't even really in touch with that person. Um, and so I think awareness comes first, and then you reach a place of authenticity that's just some level of real that you're like, this is it. It's why there didn't need to be scripted questions for me to show up to this interview, and I honestly forgot about it until yesterday. That's why, and I'm not freaking out. It's because no matter where I'm at, I'm going to show up as the same human. And so it doesn't matter what the questions are, the same answers are there.
Been there, by the way. That's why I figured. Like this morning, I didn't even change it in the schedule. There's you forgot until today, and then I didn't change in the schedule that you scheduled for 3 and not 9. So everybody's like, "Oh, it's in an hour," and I'm like, "Oh crap, no, it's not." So there's it's really crazy to me how like because I did it for so long, right? But it's crazy to me that we can get in those habits and those patterns that we're like not understanding. Like you and I, like we probably had ADHD for years and didn't know because those habits are just part of who we are. So
Mhm.
until we go, who are we really? Like ask that question to ourselves. And we can't find that out by holding ourselves back by not doing the things that scares us or by
Yeah.
not asking the questions because of whatever reason or those things. And I think a lot of us, it's fears, it's programming from when we're children, right? It's things that
Yeah.
were instilled in us. It's limiting beliefs, all these things that we think like, well, this is the way I am. And until you go like, well, who am I really? So I love that in your community and you're like providing a space and with the quizzes and the tests, you're providing that space to kind of like guide people into the questions maybe they don't even know to ask themselves.
That's it. Like, I want people to learn more about themselves and and feel comfortable showing up as whatever that is, messy, whatever. And which is, part of that, like I said, I was originally like, oh, I'm going to have like the perfect script and I'm going to be in my suit and I'm going to have like edited and And I think it's important to just be able to show up messy, be able to show up as who you are and just whatever. It's why I don't like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like the place that all the coaches, all the consultants, the fractional COOs, which is what I am, they all love that shit. And I'm like, I'm so grossed out by it because I'm like, all these people are just showing you a facade. Like, and it just feels yucky to me. And I just like it real. And I want business owners to realize that they don't have to show up as something else. Like, you don't have to have like your fancy shirt on to show up at a call. Like, you can just show up dirty, messy. You can drop a bunch of F bombs. Like, you can, whatever you got to do to, but as long as you show up. And just be true to you. And I want to encourage everybody to do that as much as possible, you know?
Talking about showing up, like one of my favorite people on School, Jack, My experience with him, well, the first time we ever talked to him, we were interviewing him before his summit call, and he was like walking around in a car, and Sharon Prohl accidentally said, like, sit the hell down or sit the fuck down, kid. And they had to like work that out with each other. The next time I talked to him was like coming to collab with him on the school in the schoolyard, and he's like doing basically an interview with me on a subway. And then from the subway, from the train, he's like walking around, right? And then I've had so many groups with him where he drops absolute gold and teaches people a lot of valuable stuff while he's like shooting hoops, while he's
Yeah,
playing basketball.
totally.
He'll like play basketball in the gym. He'll listen to people talking. He'll be shooting. Then he'll hear something. He'll come over from playing basketball and be like, oh, yeah, by the way, what you guys should do. And it's like, how does he do that? And then I watch myself and I do the same stuff.
You
I'm
do the
walking
same damn
around.
thing. Yeah, totally. All over the damn place. Yeah, yeah. I mean, right now, I'm like, I don't even wanna be sitting in this chair, like, I'm about to start standing up and walking
I'm
around
the
and,
same way.
you know, it's hard to sit for this long. It just is.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
So what's like, what do you got? Is there anything besides, I mean, obviously you gave us your like juicy little drop, but is there anywhere besides school? Do you have other places that you are like YouTube? Is there places to find you or you like school mainly?
Oh, I have, my personal Facebook is pretty active. I have a lot of people on there who have followed, like, they because people are following like my bus journey, because I bought the bus in 2021 and 21, yeah, it was 2021. I had to think about it. So I bought it in 2021 and then had to move a million times from Maine all the way down to Florida again and whatever. Point is that I've been on a wild ass journey. And so people have been interested in that. Before this bus, I had, I was in grad school for a couple years. But the reason I went to grad school is because I wanted to do work in Tanzania. And I had a nonprofit organization that I started there in 2014. And part of that was me traveling around to uh, it was like breweries in Southeast United States and, doing like trunk shows, and it was stuff that I would get from, like handcrafted jewelry and sandals, whatever, carvings, wood carvings from Tanzania, and I would sell those things and that money that I made at those trunk shows, and then also throwing music festivals, I got into that too, and that was
Nice.
freaking awesome. So I've thrown like, I think there were like 5 I've done.
Where?
So I had 2 in St. Augustine here where I live. I
Whoa.
had 2 in it was 2 in Nashville, and I had 1 in Charleston.
Whoa.
And so that was kind of like the general circuit, and then I would also, like, travel around and do, like, trunk shows and stuff and bring my musician friend, and he would play guitar, and I'd set up all my African stuff and teach people about the schools and stuff there. The purpose was to help kids there, be able to go to their own schools, not to teach them myself, but
Yeah.
so I'd bring, like, new shoes, I'd stock their, make basically build and stock their libraries so they would have a library. We built desks, for like one school. It was for 600 kids that were sitting on the floor. So it was really whatever like that. And I wanted to be able to do more projects like that. So I went to grad school for sustainable development because it was a program that taught you how to do projects in developing countries. Um, and so that was I don't remember why I went on that tangent.
Fascinating as hell.
I don't remember what that question was, but yeah, something about
If there's
something.
anywhere else to find you or you got anything else going outside school. But no, I got lost in the answers. That's really fascinating that you've done all that. I feel like we could go for like 3 hours and I wouldn't know half of the cool shit you've done.
There's a lot of I mean, I look back, I have to remind myself sometimes because I get stressed. It's hard to kind of live on the fringe of society forever. Um, I was a paralegal all of my 20s. I was a paralegal for 13 years, and I was really, really phenomenal at my job. Um, I was I was just really good at what I did. And I think it's because of the way I think ADHD is a superpower, and I didn't realize I had it then. I see those patterns now, but I was able to understand cases and like businesses that, in business law, or I did personal injury law, I did different types of law But I was able to see cases in this way that, like, even my attorneys were like, "Wow, how'd you come up with that?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's just what and I think that that became a superpower then. The problem was that I still had that a hard time being like, "Okay, my focus time is 8 to 5," 'cause I'm like, I'm still a squirrel. And there were plenty of times that I would take my work home with me, and then I would go to school at nighttime too. So that was kind of my life for a long time, and I got married and bought a house and did all those things in my 20s. I was gonna go to law school, and, you just realize at some point, or I did, I was like, "Wait a minute, this doesn't feel like what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
This feels different," you know? And so well, that's a whole other story, but I ended up quitting that so that I could start the nonprofit organization because I was focused on studying revolution in Africa is kind of what happened for a while there. So yeah, that's how, yeah, talk about ADHD. So now I can look back and I'm like, I see all the patterns now, but
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
the real life, like I'm doing what society told me to do, just didn't work out. And so my 30s really, really were like an unraveling, the beginning of the unraveling of all of that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
really, it sounds like a true story of just like finding alignment and true purpose within who you are and your little quirks and ticks and not
Mm.
get some mold, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of us, and I meet so many of us like that, like we're breaking through those molds of
Yeah.
expectation and just
Yeah.
wanting to be ourselves. And those gifts
Mhm.
being shared on school, the way they're being shared, and like little tribes of people like getting together and sharing those gifts in like bigger ways is
Yeah.
really cool. I've seen huge things happen just because people are like, I'm seeing authenticity being something here that I've never experienced before in life. Like,
Yeah.
people just not afraid, just unapologetically sharing things, and a lot of times, it's because they've had, like, transcendental moments in life or those, like, purpose to pain to purpose kind of life
Yeah.
stories, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and most of my big transitions are like, it sounds like I had this, like, fantastical life of travel and whatever, but
World travel, yeah.
honestly, like, there were more hard times than easy ones in my life, and a lot of those were because of my own decisions to, like, go against the grain, you know? And then that also, again, looking back at the ADHD tendencies over my life, when those times happened, it would make me freeze. It's kinda like standing in front of a wave that's about
Yeah,
to crash. There's a meme that I share all the time, and this woman standing in front of this giant wave, right? And you're just standing there looking at it like, "Oh, shit, here it comes," you know? And, and I think I have put myself in front of that wave way more times than I could ever count. And I think that a lot of people who I'm meeting on this platform have had those experiences and haven't had that, like, easy transition to the next thing. It's like something traumatic happened or something intense happened or something hard happened, and it made that next step, like, either necessary, and then you made it something cool, or it made it like, let me get out of this thing that I feel trapped in and let me just grab anything out there. Let me just grab any shiny object. And then one of those shiny objects actually sticks.
yeah,
And that's been the story of my life. Like, I just keep grabbing them all, and then some of them stick, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, this one's good. Let me get on that for a
yeah.
while," you know?
It is, that's great. Oh. So at the end of the towards the end of the podcast all the time, Dinka, who's not here today, always chooses a card from her oracle deck for all
I
of our
love that.
guests. Yeah,
I have so many cards. You can see, like, if I do that, you can almost see them because there's no blur. Do you see
I
what I'm
love that.
saying?
Yeah, cool.
But yeah.
And she sent me what she picked for you, and she always just does this. She kind of gets a feeling for the guests, and she sent me a picture, and it's the Protection Guardian. And it says, "Drop your shields," and I find that kind of fitting with our conversation. Yeah, like dropping our shields on our habits and patterns, and I could see something. So I hope that resonates.
It totally does. Yeah, it totally does because It's the mask, it's the thing we hide behind, and that is the opposite. That is definitely the opposite of my truth. I don't want to hide behind that. And we all do at some point in time here and there. We just have to be aware, I think, to do it the least amount of times as possible, right? I love that.
So my final question, Christina, I'm so stoked. This has been like a lot of fun. This has been amazing. Um, we got to do it again, by the way. Dinka has a
Oh,
link.
I would love to. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
so
Dinka
fun.
has a link. We're gonna definitely do it again. I ask this question always before we end, and it's one of my favorite parts because everybody has a different answer, even though it's kind of a hard, simple question. What does evolution mean to you?
Evolution, I the first word that came to my mind was learning. Because I believe in order to evolve, we have to learn. And it's not just like, let me consume this thing right in front of me real quick and like learn a quick thing. No, it's about like a true knowing inside of your soul, inside of your heart. And instead of it being like I learned a lesson, it's way beyond that because it's something that changes you. And that change is the evolution.
Great answer. That was awesome. Hey, we'll give you some love in the comments and the threads if you're watching on this recording. Chaos to Clarity Lab. Join my girl C Joy because she's freaking amazing, and we need more people in our tribe. Um, and then I'm Brandon Kramer from the Better Brain Project and Evergreen Foundations. And next time we'll have Dinka Salvador from the Trinity Code back. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.